This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and things you struggle with most so you can have more energy and less decision fatigue about what to eat, how to move, and you can change your thoughts to flip 50 with the life and the energy you love in this second half. And on this episode, my guest is Denise Stegall, and I may have slaughtered that. I asked her in the green room, but you know that happens. She is a healthy living coach. Denise has years of experience working in restaurants focused on nutrition and menu creation. She's attended classes at Le Cordon Bleu in Paris and the New Orleans Cooking Experience, and most recently the professional plant-based cooking course through, and I'm probably going to slaughter this one, Ruby.com. The core of Denise's health coaching is based on 3 principles, and I love these. Eat real food, make good choices, and be accountable. Denise is almost flipping 50, so we're going to let her in. Here to share some nuggets and her own story, which is the reason she and I met. She reached out about a project she had with this passion burning behind it to help women struggling to find the answers for themselves, potentially also frustrated by the lack of real answers, even in the overwhelming options, what I frequently call infobesity. Her Have It All Summit, Optimize Your Health, Find Balance, and Love the Life You Live, we'll talk about a little bit later. But first, I'd really love to introduce you to Denise and dive into what happened to her. And Denise, welcome. Tell us where you are now.
Hi, Deborah. I am calling you from the big island of Hawaii.
I'm jealous.
Every winter. So I'm originally from New York, but I've been in Rochester, Minnesota for the last 15 years. And I can tell you actually, you know this, in February, it's really cold.
Yes.
So for 2 weeks in February, my husband Mark and I just need to get out, get away. And we have just found this beautiful gem here on the big island of Hawaii.
So nice. So nice. So some of you all know I'm a Midwestern girl from Iowa. So Rochester is just up the road of peace, right? So I get it. Totally get those cold winters. And by February, everybody's over it. There's no sign of Santa for a long time. So there's no need anymore. That's where I am in my book with that. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, because we've talked about this and you have quite a story in regard to your approach to flipping 50 has been a long one. If you were in an airplane, I mean, you've taken a long time to get down the landing strip.
Yes. And I'm not quite there, but I'm approaching. When I was 37 years old, I started getting night sweats, just horrible, horrible, horrible night sweats. And I thought something had to be wrong with me. I went to the doctor, to the gynecologist, who basically said to me, oh, well, at your age, it's just a phase, and kind of brushed me off. Well, not only had I been getting these hot sweats, but apparently it was really affecting my mood, because my husband, who is absolutely amazing, kind of said to me, he's like, something's going on because you're kind of cranky. And I'm never cranky with him. And so if he was telling me I was cranky, then I was. And I wasn't sleeping for about 3 months. It had been about 3 months before I'd actually gone to see this doctor. And he was the head of gynecology, so he should have the answers, right? But he didn't. So I left the doctor's office and I went home and I went to my computer and I started to suffer from the infobesity that you mentioned. I looked online. I must have spent the entire afternoon looking for information on night sweats, hot sweats, at 37, when does this start? What's wrong with me? And I did find a program, I guess it's an OBGYN and nursing program up in Maine, and they're called Women to Women. So I spoke with a nurse there, and they had an herbal product that they told me would be helpful. And it was helpful. Did it take everything, it took the edge off. Let's just say it took the edge off. But after a couple of years, the edge kind of started to get pushed further and further away, and I started suffering more and more. And I'd gone back to the gynecologist like I do every year, and I had seen this particular nurse practitioner, and I've seen her ever since now. And she basically said to me, Denise, this is going to be a long phase, but still really didn't have any answers for me. She said, continue taking the herbal equilibrium if that's, if it's helping. I'm still on birth control. And at 37, okay, at 38, okay. I'm pushing 47. So this has been going on for 10 years. And it's been so frustrating because I really didn't get the answers that I wanted from the people I had really thought should be able to give me answers. So I spent a lot of time researching, reading books by different experts. And I think at this point, I've gotten a good amount of real information, real strategies, things that have been helping me to control, as much as I can, these hot flashes. And there are definitely times during the month that they're worse. But at least I know when that's going to happen, and I can adjust my diet or whatever it is I need to adjust to make them more tolerable. So
wow.
that's
quite a journey.
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny what a small world this is. So Women to Women is my friend Marcel Pick is the doctor there. So
no kidding.
Yeah. So we have been in a professionals health gurus group together for quite some time. So it's one of the places I would have sent you. So fantastic. The irony here is that, I want to call anybody's attention to this who hadn't caught it. You're in Rochester. I mean, you went to Mayo. Yeah. I mean, you went to the tip of the iceberg as far as where would you go if you had a problem in health? Yeah.
Yep. That's what I thought too.
Challenge. Wow. Okay. So, what did that feel like? I know that's kind of maybe a superfluous question if you're looking at here, dealing with the facts and what's helping and what's not. But, getting that older male telling you, it's just a phase, leaving, what does that feel like? I was angry. I was hurt because he obviously just dismissed me and had absolutely no desire to find out what was really going on. And I got home and literally I cried the entire way home, all 6 miles. But I did. I cried the entire way home because I didn't know where else to turn. Mm-hmm. And, who do you turn to? I would call my mom and she'd say, well, something's wrong with you. You need to go to the doctor. Well, I did go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And I went to the doctor at a good place. And now what? And so very, very frustrated and hurt and upset. Like I said, I went online and I was so grateful to find Women to Women because there was a nurse that I spoke to who listened. Mm-hmm. And that helped me. It really made me believe that, okay, there was a way. I love that. So I've got a question. So you as a healthy living coach, were you coaching at the time when you were 37 and started all of this?
Actually, I was not.
Right. Well, and
I was not.
Was this a part of what led you to become a coach?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
In my past, I started cooking when I was 11. I love cooking. I love food. I love good food. I like whole food. You'd mentioned that I took that plant-based course. I love that kind of, just that kind of cuisine and sharing it with people. So really part of what I've always done is I've cooked and I've shared that with people. And so that was already something that was in the works, mm-hmm. something that I already did. And then this all kind of started to come together as the years were going on, the frustration and the experience that I was having, and the fact that I was understanding that my diet was making things better. So at some point these two separate things did merge when I became a health coach.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of where my next question was going. I mean, have you noticed and essentially tested, a study of one, but yet, you're right there, you're in it and living it, that certain dietary changes that you've made helped and or hurt. So you've got a kind of a path down now.
Yes, it's funny. I've tried a bunch of different things. I tried just going completely plant-based. I tried paleo. I tried all sorts of things. The first thing that I really did, though, that I really paid attention to was all of the prepackaged and those kinds of foods. Anything that came in a box, in a bag, mostly cans, I just I eliminated those. So that was really the first step. And then that's when after that, I tried the other different kind of, I call them buckets, the paleo bucket and the vegan bucket and the vegetarian bucket. I've tried all of them. But what I have found is eating real food, it has really been the biggest help for me. It helps me with my energy. It helps me feel better. I don't feel, I have great energy. And I just don't feel like I'm thinking about it all the time. But in the past, I kind of felt like I was always thinking about, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? We're traveling. What am I going to eat? And I don't have that anxiety anymore, because I know if I just eat real food, I'm going to be okay.
Very wise, right? So simple, so hard. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. And what comes right back to your tagline, which I love that. You've pulled that in without maybe even knowing it, which makes it so authentic, right? Just keep it simple. Those 3 little steps. I love that. So,
yep, just eat real food.
I've got a question. Of course, we were going to come around to this. You cannot be on the show and get around to this or avoid it. But what about exercise? Where did that come into play for you going through this journey? And what's typical of you now?
Ooh, okay. So, let me think. At the time, when I was 37, I think I had started running half marathons. So I was running a lot. A lot for me, I guess. Not really doing a ton of weightlifting here and there. I think I was doing more of that type of a workout in the winter when I was home and it was cold, because I'm not a big fan of my treadmill. I can't do more than 30 minutes on a treadmill. One, I get bored out of my mind, but I also know that it's not great for my body, for my joints to spend a long period of time on a treadmill. So I was really focused, like most women, on cardio. It burns the most amount of calories in my mind. And at least at the time, that's all I thought. 6 miles was almost 600 calories I burned. Great. But now I'm hungry. And what do you eat after a workout when you're starving? I can honestly say I would go home and raid the refrigerator. Couldn't tell you what I was eating, but I was raiding the refrigerator while I was making a healthy salad. So eating at that point while I was running, that really kind of got messed up. Even though I knew what to eat and how to eat, after a 6 mile run, I was not eating well. So that's really where I started, was with running. I did go through periods where I worked with a friend who's a personal trainer, and that was really great. But since I travel a lot, it was inconsistent. And so that was a bit of a struggle. So where I am now, actually, I'm right now, I'm in the middle of it's an endurance challenge. But what I like about this endurance challenge is it has body weights. There's weightlifting to it. So typically going from just working on cardio, running, elliptical, that kind of thing, to where I am now, there's a big balance. Some days are cardio days and other days are resistance and weightlifting days. And I really try to have a program or have a plan, whether it's I'm, watching DVDs, or, finding a program online that I'm following. There's always a balance.
Got it. And are you feeling like it's complementary now to a better pattern of eating? Kind of they're fueling each other really well, as opposed to kind of, sometimes we get into this mode where, I don't want to eat, or I want to cut back because I want to lose, but then I'm going to exercise. And then when I exercise, then I'm going to overcompensate, right? Like you described at the refrigerator. Do you feel like you're in a better, kind of a smoother path right here?
I do. This is kind of where in my world, this is kind of where balance is for me. I love to exercise. I love to be outside, and I love cooking. So for me, it was either one of them was always out of balance. Like I was exercising a lot and then not eating great, or I was eating great and kind of not really exercising. So for me, this is balance.
Nice. Love that. So how are you doing with sleep?
Most nights I'm doing pretty well. I probably still wake up at least once a night. And that's actually, it's usually because I have to go to the bathroom. But what I do find is that's the one time I have a night sweat, is I get up, go to the bathroom. I have about 5 minutes where I'm uncomfortable, and then I fall back to sleep. But other than that, I sleep pretty much 7 to 8 hours. I've been tracking it on my Fitbit, and that was a bit of an eye opener too, because I would go to bed the same time every night, pretty much. And I was thinking, I was getting, 7 or 8 hours of sleep. And I wasn't. I was really getting about 5.5 to 6 hours of sleep. So that has changed a lot, from the 5.5 to 6 hours to 7 to 8 hours pretty consistently.
Nice. And that's so huge. And so many women, think, that they've been in bed, but wake up fatigued, tired, and don't really know why. The Fitbit does provide quite a bit of insight in regards to that. And, ladies, if you're listening and you're not sure about that, the big impetus is that if you're not getting into those deep cycles of sleep, you're not staying in them, it's really hard to have the right hormone balance. We need growth hormone. It's released during those deep cycles of sleep. Your cortisol level goes crazy. It may be up when it should be down. It may be down when it's supposed to be up the following day. Just one poor night of sleep. I'm in one of those poor nights of sleep right now, that day after. My dog is on a steroid and clearly has to go out all the time. So we're in a bad pattern right now, me and Fido. But this too shall pass. But huge piece of your boosting your metabolism, and not just mood and feeling better, which is also big, but if you're exercising and you're eating well, and you've discovered what that is for you, but still feeling like I am not having the progress I feel like I should, it may be that you want to take a deep look at your sleep. So that kind of passive way to sleep yourself skinny, quote unquote, really there's some truth to that. So let's come back around full circle. So you've gained this wealth of experience by going through it and then sifting through tons of information and really going through the path that any other woman who might be frustrated is going through. So who better to talk about this? And it's really kind of led you to doing something bigger to share it with people. So let's talk about the Have It All Summit. The Optimize Your Health, Find Balance, and Love the Life You Live. How did that get born?
Oh, goodness. I guess for a couple of things. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I would like to, I have an audience where I live and they listen, and that's great. But I have all of this great knowledge and people are looking for this information. So I decided that putting it out on the internet as an interview series would be a great way, a fun way for people to get the information that they're really just craving. Get it in a different way. It's not just reading through, a ton of text or getting stuck down the rabbit hole of click this page, click this page, click this page. They're 20 to 30 minute live interview, or I guess taped interviews with experts in health, wellness, a couple in business. And we talk about all of the things that, kind of that I've gone through and that they've gone through. And the reason why we have this information to share is because we've been through it. And what do you do with this information? I have it. How do I get it to people? This interview series is just it was a fun way for me to get the information out. But I think for listeners, it's a nice way to get information because all of the interviews are audio taped. They're made for easy listening when people are driving or kind of running around. I seem to listen to these type of programs either when I'm in the car or when I'm cooking in the kitchen. And most of the time I can't watch a video while I'm cooking in the kitchen. I might lose a finger. I've almost done that once or twice. So really that's really what started it. Is I had been gaining this information. I've been talking to different experts over the last handful of years. And this was just kind of a culmination of all of that.
I love that. And I do the same thing. If I'm not, listening to something while I'm cooking, it's really unusual. So I try to double up and, driving or while I'm doing a workout, usually at home, whether it is, I know the treadmill, we're about the same, sister. 20 to 30 minutes and that's it. So you better have spoken your piece by that time. But I know,
totally there.
But if I'm entertained, I can stay on a little longer. So if it's juicy, I'm with you. So I love that.
Yep.
Yes. So can I pry a little bit? Can we see behind the curtain? Who are some of the experts? Will you share, or do you want to keep that secret?
Sure. That's great. I've been really fortunate to have been connected with a lot of just amazing women and a couple of men. One of my experts is Katie May from plantsstreet.com. She runs the culinary gym and fitness kitchen up in Santa Rosa, California. And she's somebody who I've been following for a couple of years because I like plant-based dishes. And there's just, you get bored with just veggies and salad. So I started following her because I just wanted more fun dishes. And I also have a young niece who decided to live a vegan lifestyle. And for her to do that in a healthy way, I wanted to make sure that I had connections with somebody who could answer questions. So Katie May with Plant Street is one of our experts. Miss Deborah Atkinson, she's one of our experts. Woohoo! Woohoo! Actually, it's funny. I always have your book sitting next to my bed because there's always on the check sheet, I'm still going through checks.
Yeah.
I'm not at one of them. When I circle one, I'm like, okay, that's the one I'm working on this week.
Oh, I love that. You are a good student. Wow.
Well, to be a good teacher, you have to be a good student.
True.
I truly believe that. I'm constantly learning new things. And I'm always intrigued by the books that people come up with, like the titles and the material. Because once it's in book form, and it just seems to be more real, the information is more real because it's been much more thought out in my opinion. I could put a lot of stuff online and a lot of it could be good, but once it's in a book form and people can actually hold it and flip back and forth, it just makes it that much more doable and that much more real.
Agree. Something about a book. I think there's book people out there. I'm a book person.
Yeah, me too. I'm a book person. So let me tell you one of my other guests is my health coach. Her name is Christy Miller and her business is Eat, Train, Win.
I know Christy.
And Christy is so amazing. We talk about winning in this series. And so what does winning and, health and hot flashes all have to do with one another? Well, it's really a way to change your mindset on everything that you're doing. If you have a salad for lunch with great protein and all these great veggies, and you do that for lunch, that's a big win. As opposed to, you decided not to have the huge piece of pepperoni pizza with the garlic knots and the Diet Coke. So choosing that healthy salad with the protein and veggies, that's a big win. And so just being able to change our thought process, baby steps. We had a good meal today. Oh, maybe last night we didn't do so well. Well, we'll do better at our next meal. And so Christy has been just such a great cheerleader for me and support for me. And her information and coaching style is really, I think, really fun to listen to. I mean, she's really a lot of fun to work with. And in the interview, we talk about things that I think most people go, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And she's got a great story too. So, I love when, people just stumble into their career, but when somebody has made like a 180 and part of it is because they had an aha moment, and went through a phase where, very similar to you, something happened and then you make good out of it, not to be, glitchy with, making lemonade out of lemons, but in a sense it is. And I think it's a better story. We can all relate to it because when you just hear stories of, oh yeah, got it made. I started here and then I went here and then I went here. And, most of us have fallen, and so we really like those people. And so I love that about Christy as well as you. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, you kind of fall and you kind of end up here and there and you don't really know where you're supposed to go. You have an idea and you know what your goals may be, but you kind of go left to go right. And sometimes you go full circle. I actually just wrote a blog post the other day about something very similar. Just because your path isn't straight, even though we know the fastest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line, life is not a straight line. And we do go through bumps and bruises and lefts and rights. But I think the nice thing is there are other people out there like us who have been through it and are still going through it and can, help guide people in a good way.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay. Any last person you want to tease, or here's how I'll give you the latitude to handle this question. Is there a question you wish I would have asked you?
Ooh, let me just give a little bit more info then on the tagline, optimize your health, find balance, and love the life you live. I think that for me, optimize your health. It's not about being perfect. It's about always moving forward and doing good. And you can optimize your health by taking these baby steps. Baby steps may be listening to the summit and taking a couple of tidbits from the experts and applying them to your life. It doesn't have to be a huge undertaking, but those small things will help you to optimize health. Find balance. Balance was a tough one because, we think of the scale and everything has to be perfectly balanced. Life isn't necessarily ever perfectly balanced, but you want to be able to find something that's almost working for you in some place in the middle. Another word I kind of toyed with was harmony. And harmony in our life is good, but I really believe that balance, and I think of balance in two ways. Obviously, the balancing of the scale. We're doing too much of one thing or doing too much of the other. But the other thing that I think of when I talk about balance is, balancing on one foot. Can we, it really in a physical way, I think of balance. So that actually has two meanings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then love the life you live. I mean, we only have this one life. We are meant to enjoy it and to live it. And so often I talk to women who will say to me, "Oh, I'll be happy when I lose the 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I do this. I'll be happy when I get the next promotion." And they're never happy right now in the moment. And I hope that by listening to some of our experts, one in particular, her name is Luann Beekler, that people can listen to her and really try to find what their passion is so they can really live or love that life that they're living, because they're doing the things that they love and they are feeling great. And so that kind of piece ties everything else in.
Love it. Yeah, what a great definition. And I think so many things you've said, there were great nuggets in that. Let's make sure we leave them with the link. So the best place to go learn more about the summit and register is where?
Okay, there's a website. It is www.haveitallsummit.com/D Atkinson.
That's me.
And so this way, that's you. And so I'll know that everybody listening to this, to your podcast, our podcast today, decided to opt in and decided that they wanted to have it all.
Fantastic. Okay. And everybody listening, you're still walking, you're still weight training, maybe you're driving. Do not get a pencil and write this down. All those things that we talked about will be in the show notes. And I'm going to tease some of the guests as well. So I will put Katie's link, plantstreet.com, Christy Miller's Eat, Train, Win, and we'll tease a little content there so you can look and see exactly who's going to be there as well as to register. So Denise, thanks so much for being here. I know getting ready for one of these, I've never done one, honestly. So it's got to be, from the outside looking in, a huge organizational undertaking. So I hope we're not like herding cats. I hope I haven't been a cat for you, but thanks for taking the time to be here.
It's been great. It really has. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me again. And I'm really excited about Have It All Summit and, just sharing with everybody.
You are so welcome. Listeners, if you have a question, submit that. Leave it below the show link at flipping50.com and join us on the Flipping 50 TV Facebook page. To get all the juicy resources and links that we mentioned in the show, just visit today's episode at flipping50.com/podcast. And if you enjoy the show, please leave a rating in iTunes. It really helps spread the word. And if you share this with a friend to surround yourself with a supportive community of women on the same journey, we raise the glass ceiling about our expectations. What are you waiting for? Start Flipping 50 today.